sort of a house, and a bunch of his old junk is still up on the second floor in the employee break room. We are basically the only people who use the employee break room, even though we are not employees, obviously since we are still in middle school. But my parents are employees, and I, Lyle, was hanging out there all the time anyway when Dave and Marilla started hanging out with me. The break room has all this weird junk. A record player. B, a box of old records. C, a speaker that says positive energy on it. D, an almost working TV, gets only Channel 7 from Roanoke. E, a ton of old videos from when the Qwikpick used to rent videos. But even with all that cool stuff in there, we did eventually get sort of bored just hanging around inside all the time. So we decided to have an adventure. Now, in books and movies and stuff, people usually don't just decide to have an adventure. Instead, they get tangled up in a big adventure by accident. And then after they defeat the criminal masterminds or arrest the smugglers or kill the orcs, they go back to having a normal life. Well, none of those things happen around here, so we had to make an adventure happen. Our first adventure was sneaking into a sewage treatment plant, and I think the moral to that story is pretty clear. Don't sneak into a sewage treatment plant. I won't go into the details of how bad it smelled here. Just refer to the official report number 1 of the Qwikpick Adventure Society, sections 10 through 15. Our second adventure was the search for the rat with the human face. And while we did find the rat, we also got into such huge trouble that Marilla's parents said she could never go on another adventure again, and she couldn't even go to the Qwikpick again, or even talk to me anymore. She was allowed to talk to Dave, which was totally unfair, but if I get into that, I'll never get to the next part. So, basically, that was the end of the Qwikpick Adventure Society, because Marilla was really the leader, because she was the one who always talked me and Dave into doing stuff. If that was the end of the Qwikpick Adventure Society, then how can there be a third adventure? Remember how Marilla was the one who always talked us into doing stuff? Well, she thought of something that she wanted to do so bad, she was willing to break her parents' new rules and risk gigantic, earth-shaking levels of trouble. What did she want to do so bad? Kick a dead guy. And she wanted to do it so bad that she actually talked me and Dave into wanting to do it too. Now that those questions are answered, you may be wondering why we wanted to kick a dead person. We'll explain all that in section 2. And if you're wondering if we really did kick a dead person, that is what this whole official report is all about. So you can either skip to section 24, or you can just keep reading. And the reason it's typed on a typewriter is not because I still don't have a computer. I now have a computer. It just doesn't work. So that's the reason why this is being typed on a typewriter. Unofficial personal note. I didn't want to bog down the official report with this story, but here it is. Skip it if you want to find out about kicking the dead guy sooner. Dave and I chipped in $25 each to buy an old computer at the thrift store to use here in the Qwikpick break room. The thrift store really isn't that far away. It's basically behind the Taco Bell, but by car you have to go past Hardee's and turn there to get into the parking lot. Dave and I just walked through the field behind the trailer park and then cut across the Taco Bell parking lot. So like I said, it isn't that far. So we decided we could just carry it home. The computer was heavy, but the monitor was heavy and hard to get a grip on. And you could barely see where you were walking when you were carrying it. Dave dropped it in the field and it busted. It was sort of my fault since I said, "Watch out for that cow pie," even though there wasn't one.